From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
President Trump holding a Keep America Great rally in Phoenix tomorrow. Everything you need to know about his visit to the Valley.
Plus, cast members in a local play depicting the story of a dreamer invite Trump to see their show.
And how some undocumented students struggling to pay tuition are fighting for change.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez.
And I'm Sean Rice. Thank you for joining us. President Trump will be in the Valley tomorrow for his Keep America Great rally.
The event will take place at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix and will start at 7 p.m. Governor Doug Ducey will be meeting the president at Sky Harbor Airport and riding with him in the motorcade to the Coliseum.
Only those with tickets will be admitted into the venue. Tickets are free, but you must register them on President Trump's campaign website using a mobile number. There is a limit of 2 tickets per phone number.
And if you're planning on attending the rally, there will be strict security measures. No weapons, signs, or alcohol will be allowed on the property. The Arizona Department of Public Safety says free speech areas will be set up away from the fairgrounds on 19th Avenue and Monte Vista Road, and on 19th Avenue and Encanto Boulevard.
Taking a look at your parking for the rally. Event parking will open to the public at 6 a.m. and attendees can enter the Coliseum starting at 3 p.m. Parking will be available within the lots of the Arizona State Fairgrounds, as well as the parking lot west of 19th Avenue, south of Encanto Boulevard.
There are only 2 entrances for people attending the rally, one at 19th Avenue and Monte Vista, and the other at Encanto Boulevard, east of 19th Avenue. DPS is asking attendees to plan for long lines and heavy pedestrian traffic.
For continuing coverage on the President's Valley visit, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The president is being invited to a performance of Americano, the musical. It tells the story of Antonio Valdovinos, the son of undocumented immigrants, and his life after learning the truth about his immigration status. Cronkite News reporter Delaney White spoke with Valdovinos about the musical and the invitation. Delaney?
He says he hasn't heard from the White House, but his goal was to humanize the immigrant community by inviting Donald Trump to see the show.
Recognize, a couple years later that I was also in that pot of we don't want you here feeling, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it, and I refused to believe it because I remember pledging to the flag every single morning, and I really felt it.
Antonio Valdovinos de la Mora didn't know he was an undocumented immigrant, and he tells the story of what it was like to discover that fact in Americano, the musical.
Americano will be playing at the Phoenix Theater until February 23rd. At the digital desk, Delaney White, Cronkite News.
Undocumented students, DACA recipients, and their allies from around the Valley today joined to get their voices heard at the Arizona State Capitol. Students are advocating for in-state tuition for those known as Dreamers. They say the cost of fees can make all the difference for young people fighting to finish their education. Cronkite News reporter Alexa Fuenmayor traveled to the Capitol to learn more. Alexa?
Over 300 high school and college students met with state senators and representatives on both sides of the aisle with one mission in mind: to get in-state tuition for any Arizona high school graduate, regardless of immigration status. Led by Aliento, a local grassroots organization that advocates for undocumented students and DACA recipients, students met with legislators from their own districts, sharing personal stories and lobbying them to support bills such as HCR 2004.
The Department of Homeland Security has officially waived contracting law regulations to allow for faster construction of the border wall dividing the U.S. and Mexico. This will allow for 177 miles of wall to be built, stretching across Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Texas. 10 laws were waived for the process to begin. The construction will get President Trump closer to his goal of having 450 miles of wall finished before the end of this year. Members of the Tohono O'odham Nation in southern Arizona disapproved, saying the wall will disturb wildlife and sacred artifacts on their tribal land. According to NBC, a tribal chairman says they've never even been consulted.
The state prison in Florence will be shutting down operations and moving its inmates to other state and private prisons around Arizona.
It's to decrease the town's population and state funding. Dylan McKim was in Florence to see what impacts the town faces with the impending closure.
Governor Doug Ducey announced at his State of the State address that he will be closing down the Florence State Prison. He claimed the closure will save taxpayers over $270 million over 3 years. But there are still questions left to be answered, including the monetary impact when the prison closes its cell doors for good.
There's another marker we're going to meet this year. We're shutting down a state prison.
Just like that, Governor Doug Ducey notified the state that he was closing a prison. The state is now looking for room in other state-run and private prisons to put the displaced inmates. As for the guards that worked at Florence Prison, they will all be able to keep their jobs and transfer over to the Iman facility located down the road from Florence. In the newsroom, Dylan McKim, Cronkite News.
After the break, nuclear water woes.
We take a look inside one of Arizona's largest nuclear plants and how it's taking steps to reduce its water usage.
And the coronavirus could affect more than just your health. See how the outbreak is spreading and impacting iPhones next.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Jamie Landers.
And I'm Tina Giuliano. Thank you for joining us. What you're about to see is a first for the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication.
Within 7 days, we've developed an innovative way to create a daily newscast remotely from our homes across the country.
This is a work in progress, but we are proud to provide our audience with the latest information on the global coronavirus pandemic and how it's affecting Arizonans. So here's a look at the latest local numbers. As of today, 5 people here in Arizona have died from the coronavirus, with 100 new cases being reported since yesterday. That brings the total Arizona cases of COVID-19 to 326.
The World Health Organization is reporting for every one person who's infected with COVID-19, they could transmit the deadly virus to 2 more people. Then those 2 people could infect 4 more people. It only takes 20 jumps like this to infect over 1 million people. At this rate, officials say we can expect the number of cases to double every 6 days. That means by the end of April, there could be at least 1 million cases of COVID-19 in the United States alone.
Governor Doug Ducey issued an executive order Monday, restricting individual cities from forming their own regulations during the COVID-19 health emergency. In a news conference, Ducey said he issued the order to ensure Arizona has one consistent policy regarding coronavirus restrictions. This comes after both Phoenix and Tucson ordered the closure of bars and restaurants last week, before the statewide mandate was put in place. Ducey also issued an executive order detailing what's deemed essential services, in case Arizona adopts a shelter-in-place policy down the road. The list of essential operations includes healthcare, services for the elderly, food production, utilities, and emergency personnel. Gas stations, financial institutions, hardware stores, and media outlets are also on the list. The governors of California, New York, Illinois, Indiana, and several other states have already issued stay-at-home orders to combat the spread of COVID-19. But Ducey says it's not necessary here yet. So we want to hear from you now. Do you think Arizona is doing enough to protect against the spread of coronavirus? Just head to our Cronkite News Facebook and Twitter pages to share your thoughts with us.
The Arizona House on Monday passed an emergency budget package that includes $50 million to address the coronavirus crisis. Republican House leaders had balked last week at approving the Senate budget, but that changed over the weekend when House Democrats pledged to back the proposal. The rare bipartisan Senate package includes money to prevent evictions and foreclosures during the crisis, provide services for the homeless, assist small businesses, and pay for the food bank operations. It also includes longer welfare payments and a waiver from work requirements.
The coronavirus has shut down businesses and forced many workers to stay home, unsure if they'll be receiving any sort of income. Cronkite News reporter Dylan McKim spoke with one local business owner to see how this pandemic has affected their company and how the government is attempting to keep revenue flowing.
It's actually stopped my business in its tracks.
Angelo Mendoza is the CEO of Desert Castle Entertainment, a concert promotion business. The COVID-19 virus has made it impossible to do his job.
A Phoenix area man has died and his wife is in critical condition after ingesting chemicals they believe would prevent the coronavirus. The couple, both in their 60s, ingested chloroquine phosphate. It's a chemical common in fish tank cleaners to kill algae. The death comes after President Trump declared the chemical, also used to treat malaria, could be a game changer in treating COVID-19. Now doctors are warning the public not to take any medication or chemical without a prescription. They say a vaccine is estimated to be at least a year away.
The U.S. has restricted travel from some countries because of the coronavirus, but it's not the only country doing so. An Arizona State University student in Peru was among thousands of Americans abroad when the global pandemic sparked border closures. Cronkite News reporter Gabriella Collage has her story.
Gabriella Fioretti thought she signed up for a week-long vacation for a family wedding in Peru. But that was before Peruvian President Martin Vizcarra closed his country's borders.
We reached out to the State Department for comment on the situation in Peru and other countries where Americans are stranded, but have not heard back as of this newscast.
Scientists at the University of Arizona are stepping up to help with the shortage of coronavirus tests in our state. They took to Twitter to announce university researchers produced 1,600 COVID-19 specimen collection kits over the weekend, and they plan to produce another 7,000 this week.
They call him Dr. Germ. Microbiologist Charles Gerba, who studied major medical outbreaks like Ebola and AIDS, has turned his attention to attacking the coronavirus. He and fellow scientists are developing more powerful disinfectants at this University of Arizona laboratory in Tucson.
Well, we are growing the coronavirus that causes colds.
It's easy to work with.
You know, like a lot of the people in public health have said, something like coronavirus to us was not if, it's always been when.
If you don't have access to disinfectant wipes or sprays, Gerba says washing the surface with plain soap and hot water can sufficiently pick up germs. However, it's not guaranteed to kill them. So when you're done, either throw the rags away or wash them for 45 minutes in hot water.
The Summer Olympic Games, arguably the world's most prominent series of sporting events, just fell victim to the coronavirus. The 2020 Games will be postponed by roughly a year. The Games were set to take place this summer in Tokyo, but Australia and Canada both said they wouldn't be sending athletes to the Games, and several nations, including the US, Germany, and Poland, had called for the Games to be postponed until 2021. The move is unprecedented. The Olympic Games have never been rescheduled in peacetime. In 1916, 1940, and 1944, the Games were canceled because of the World Wars.
Many organizations have stepped up to tackle COVID-19, and the Arizona Cardinals are no exception. Chairman and President Michael Bidwell announced the team will be donating $1 million to the Arizona Relief Fund.
As we navigate these unprecedented and challenging times, all of us are wondering what we can do to help. Today, Governor Ducey announced that Arizona has launched the Arizona Coronavirus Relief Fund, and the Cardinals are proud to support it with a $1 million donation.
Bidwell went on to say the money will first go toward protection for frontline medical personnel, people who are most vulnerable, like those reliant on food banks, and to disadvantaged students who don't have the technology to learn from home.
The recommendation to stay at least 6 feet away from others, known as social distancing, has become well known in the United States as they try to minimize the cases of coronavirus. But is this advice being taken seriously by some Arizonans? As Frankie McLister reports, despite repeated requests to practice social distancing, more and more people are choosing to take the risk and enjoy the outdoors.
National parks and state parks, along with open-air community spaces, were filled with huge crowds over the weekend, despite the strong insistence from health officials that all Arizonans stay home.
Don't put those umbrellas away just yet. Another storm system is headed our way later in the week.
Stephanie Bates is joining us now with a look at your Cronkite weather forecast. Stephanie?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Bates, and I'm here to bring you your Tuesday weather update.
That's it for Cronkite News. From our homes to yours, thank you for watching.
For Arizona news updates throughout the day, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.